you will give these young persons to help them understand how important it is for them to love themselves. And so the first question I'd like to, first of all, ask you, and you share in your own words, what is self-esteem? What is self-esteem? If you would give us a definition, summarize it, what would you say self-esteem is? Anyone give
I think it's how you feel about yourself or how you value yourself.
That is positive self-esteem. Yes. But there are people who have low self-esteem who feel that they cannot measure up to anything, or they always they see others as being above themselves. They are the high achievers, but they see themselves as down there, so to speak, and they would never rise up to the level of someone or to the level where they ought to be.
Because they don't have a good value.
Right, a good value system of themselves.
And maybe they were told all along.
Right.
As a person. Because self-esteem is how you think about yourself. That is, to me, what it comes down to. And it could be negative, and it could be
Esteem to me is just your sense of value, like Elder Forbes said, or your self-worth. Basically, that's what it is. It could be positive or it could be negative.
Right.
Where you get it and who you get it from determines where you place it. That may not be your true value depending on where you got it, but certainly that's what you will believe of yourself. And you could aim higher or lower than what you actually value. Now, I think for the Christian, we get our sense of worth from the Bible, and the Bible tells us that God loves us so much that he gave his son to die for us.
Yes.
And so we are valuable, we are precious in his sight, right? No matter what happens, he has done everything. Come down from heaven to make us, to save us. So we have great value, greater than we can imagine. You know, and if you have that kind of self-esteem, it avoids a lot of problems. Now, good self-esteem helps with a lot of things. Bad self-esteem causes problems in other areas. So where you get your self-esteem is very important. I think the Christian, the real Christian, has the healthiest self-esteem because it's closest to what his real value is.
You may have self-esteem, but you have to realize, you have to be practical in life. You're not going to just because you like someone or love someone, that don't mean they're going to love you back. So when sometimes when you say you're rejected, like I had a cousin used to say, women like buses, when you miss one, they
I'm saying that there's an expression that it takes a village to grow a child or raise a child. And we are products of our environment, regardless of how we want to accept it or not. One of the reasons why the village concept worked was because all of those villagers were putting good and positive input. Mind you, there may be some detractors, but for the most part, there were persons who were encouraging that person, who was trying to help that parent, especially if it was a single parent or what have you, where they were actually trying to put into that child, right, positive values, keeping him on the straight and narrow path. So when they saw an adult in particular, they straightened up, and because they knew they were doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. So that village concept contributed to a positive environment. Now look at the absence of that village concept today. Mm. And you have a total disdain and disrespect for human life. I'll just drill down to that, just to human life itself, where a guy can walk up to somebody else and kill them and don't seem to be bothered by that.
To do with what you're hearing a lot of, not just where you are.
Right.
For example, if I'm being encouraged all the time, if I'm being affirmed and assured, I'm going to believe that. I'm going to have confidence that what you're saying to me all the time, there has to be some truth to that. And as it was shared, if there are a number of persons in my environment who are constantly saying the same thing, I'm going to believe that. Right. I can tell you some stories. Some of them are laughable, but they're true. When persons keep telling other persons, certain things. Once you believe it, then you will start to act on it. You will live it.
Right.
Okay? If you tell me I'm the smartest person in the world, I'm going to act as if I'm the smartest person in the world. Others may laugh, but it won't affect me. Okay? Now, if I am not sure, and my attention is drawn to whoever else is laughing, then that is going to affect me. And I think a lot of that had to do with this young man and the young lady. Because if he was that confident in himself and his ability, what she thought or how she behaved would not have that kind of impact on his decision. And so we must always seek to assure and affirm one another, particularly our young people.
Thank you. Yes.
I think you asked about sources of self-esteem.
Yes.
I think for a lot of young people, social media and what media portrays is what we feed off.
Social media, okay.
We look at that, and I heard him say he's the youngest. I don't claim to be the youngest in here. I think the youngest now. But from what I've observed, it's definitely you feed off of that, and the world portrays what self-confidence looks at, and it almost portrays the type of response you should get. And so if you're not getting the type of response, if you're not being responded in the way that Beyonce is getting when she walks into a room, so now all of the young ladies aspire to that, and they aspire to that. If it doesn't come naturally, then in dress and in conduct to get that type of response. And I think there has to be a healthy balance. What Elder Simonet said is true, and it can go other ways. I know when I was younger, this young lady was like, I'm a model. And I'm like, you're like 4'11" and 150 pounds, you understand? And very, very confident. And I think that sometimes it comes with a little bit of a balance, that you can be accepted just as who you are and loved how you are, with whatever flaws that exist or don't exist. And you don't have to be compared to other persons. And that definitely affects self-esteem, because then when you look at yourself for who you are and you have to face, okay, I'm not this, I'm not that, that's where it really undermines your confidence. You can put on a good show in the public, but when you're by yourself, and you know, all of the audience has been removed, and you have to see it for what it is. And so I think that goes back to what is said earlier about the village and the church, and looking at what God wants for us. But definitely for the young generation, a lot of it is external. It's what's, you know, it's what's pushed out there.
First to say around that.
And then, like you said, sometimes with the parents, with my niece, we have to teach her how to accept rejection and no's. She's the first baby in the family. It's been a long time, so the tendency is to spoil. But you have to teach her that, because she's going to face that when she gets out there. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you so much. So what do we have final point that you'd like to share as we wrap up?
Let me just say that this is a very interesting topic to me. And one of the things that made me study it was young people dropping out of school. It didn't make any sense. And it didn't make any sense to me, of course, because I was always in the top of my class and everything and so on. And I enjoy. In fact, one year I decided to come last in class, and I failed. I came second to last. And my mother said, don't try that again. And I never tried it again. But I just wanted to experience it. I have a cousin who actually is the head of physics at the University of Baton Rouge now, Southern. He also did it, and his father said, well, somebody has to come last, and obviously you have elected to be. And he never fought him, but then it changed his life. But the idea that I'm getting at is avenues for success is what builds self-esteem. If you feel success, you will be more less likely to drop out of school. If you feel success, you will be less likely to drop off the track team on the school athletics team or the basketball team or whatever. The same thing at church. If you're given opportunities to feel success, you are going to find that your self-esteem grows, and also, as I said, your self-efficacy grows too, because you're practicing the things, and your capacity to do the thing is actually growing. And the development of our young people, youth development, is so important when it comes to self-esteem. But that's not the only ones. Right throughout life, even in how we treat people who are never been able to get married or never been able to have a child, even though they're married, or a variety of other situations, never been able to hold down a job for long. And right through to, I'm now old and I don't have a retirement plan. Am I going to just be on my children now? And things like that. All of those things, the sources of improving self-esteem is to make sure that we get into activities, we promote activities that help people to be successful, to create that retirement plan, to create that environment that even if they don't have a retirement plan, the family will be there for you, even if you get old. Or while you are going through school or whatever, while you are training, not everybody is going to come first on the 100 meters, but it was good. You give them a substitute message. It was good for you to be fit, isn't it? Just to be fit alone is a reward in itself alone, to be healthy. The same for you getting your medical checkups. Don't wait until you have a diagnosis of a sickness. Go get it so that you can hear that you are well. And it gives you the encouragement to come back. A lot of the times, even in health, we use the sickness model instead of the health model, and so on and so forth. And those things make us, I'm too fat. I'm too unfit. I'm too old. Whatever. And it's too expensive, and things like that. And those messages drag on. So if we can reverse those and substitute them with alternative, truthful things that are positive, those are sources to me of developing your self-esteem.
Thank you. Thank you so much.